We can't stop that for now, you can stop it for the hearing. It's like if you come, you get, and they unscot your ticket because you didn't show up, they create a rule in the game. They don't have to pay. They could pay $25 a month. They want to do a bill collect because of this one. Yeah. And you know, you never know. Sometimes it's completely reversed like that. All depends. This has happened by the DWI, so. I
Plus one.
paid.
Yeah.
Everybody's riffling.
Ready?
Need a couple more minutes, or you all guys all up? Okay, I just want to interrupt you. Alright, call the meeting to order, and we'll do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Newton?
Here.
Mr. Parati?
Here.
Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Facto?
Yes. Here.
Mr. Randall?
Yes, here. Alright, roll call. Know what you just did? Minutes. How much we got today? Alright, all board members have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. A motion will be entertained to approve and accept the minutes of the regular meeting of July 19th, 2022. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
We'll adjourn and then Mike.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes.
I believe we got minutes of the public hearing too, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, we
look at
do.
those.
Yeah, public hearing. 7:19.
Motion.
Okay, well, I should probably read the freaking thing again. Excuse my language. All board members have been provided with a copy of the minutes, haven't you? Seen, the minutes of the last, public hearing. So if we can get a motion to
Motion.
accept
Yeah.
those by Mr. Newman. Second by
Second.
Mr. Facto.
Okay,
Roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. Okay, address these.
We do have. Addressing.
We have an address.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Gold.
Well, he didn't,
Oh, you're supposed to call ahead?
yeah,
or just
but
let us
we
know
have
so he's on their
Sue
agenda,
from
but-
Friends of the North Country as well.
Yeah, I asked.
Supercard. Are you speaking tonight, or are you just here to
I'm just
pick
here
up?
to
That's what I
collect
thought.
paperwork if,
Um,
unless anybody has any questions.
If the, normally, we'll put you on the agenda. If the board has no objections to hearing an address from you, and, you kind of keep it limited to the specific points, I'll make the motion that we let it
We don't have
speak.
to have a motion, it's just that we did, he
Okay.
didn't know.
All right. Is it, everybody all right with that?
Yes.
You've got the floor.
Alright, I'll pass this around if you want to pass that on to the guys. My proposal to the town is to reintroduce the practice of paving the roads for a developer. As he does a preliminary work, binder can be laid in 1 year and the top coat can be laid in the next year to lessen the financial outlay impact. I've made a substantial investment in Schuyler Falls by building an 8,000 square foot truck shop on the Carbide Road, my personal residence on Matthew Drive, a rental house on Mason Street, 4 duplexes on the Military Turnpike, 6 duplexes on Macy Lane, and 4 duplexes on Matthew Drive. I'm starting phase 2 of the Globe subdivision, which consists of 6 more duplexes, and I also own a building lot in Macy Lane. Normally, I would have to take out a loan to pave the road and allocate a portion of my closing costs to each duplex to repave a repayment loan, which kind of makes it hard because there's only so much money to build, you know. And if the town paves the road, more developers might be interested in developing projects in Schuyler Falls and increase the tax base. I estimate the cost to pave the road to be approximately $30,000. Proposal number 2 should be the town of Schuyler Falls be unable to pave the road. I'll pave the road, and I'm asking for 5-year abatement of land taxes on each of the 6 duplexes, which works out basically the same thing, but I put the money out.
Okay. Did you have anything further to add to that?
Not on this subject, no.
Okay. So what I would suggest that we do with this, I appreciate your concern. I appreciate you taking the time out of your night to come here and address the board with a couple proposals like this. What I'd like to do is the town supervisors bring this back to one of our work sessions.
Sure.
There is a couple laws that were just recently passed by our governor, okay? One of which is a 5-year exemption for any first-time homeowners. So we will be looking at that. That was not gonna help you directly, it'll help you sell a home. As far as paving the road, as we did in past practice, that was way before I was here, but I am familiar with that prior policy of the town. And you had to bring them up to code, compact them, make sure the ditches were to
Right.
grade, and at that time then it was up to the highway superintendent to make sure all that was done, and then we did take care of it. We have adopted a resolution hence then that says that all of it has to be completed, like you know, and that the pavement has to be done. And then if it meets the specs of our highway superintendent,
Right.
and he thinks it's in the best interest of the town to take that road over, then we bring it to the board for final approval. It takes both, the elected highway superintendent and the majority of the board here, the 3 out of 5. So I would like to bring this back to a work session so that we could all talk about it, and then we can discuss whether or not we want to revisit that policy or that resolution, the last resolution, and the way it was written. Most of the road specs, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's it.
1 second.
I believe most of the road specs on all of it, including compaction and how much pavement and what
I've done the
ditches.
first road.
We pretty much are right in line with the town of Plattsburgh on, you know, I think that's pretty much what we adopted. So what I would do is ask if, I think you guys got Mr. Gold's personal information where we can contact him after. Give us a work session on it, or a couple, and see what the consensus of the board is, and then we can get back to you if that sounds reasonable.
Yeah. So the paving wouldn't be done till next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our CHIPS money has already been allocated this
Sure.
year for what roads we're gonna pave and how much we're gonna pave. So yeah, definitely it would have to be next year before we could even talk to Mr. Snyder and find out, you know,
Yeah.
what he would be able to fit in if we were to switch the policy.
Okay.
I'd also like to see Mr. McCormick give us his insight on those before, or during for our next work session. That's okay.
I can give you my insight on that already. Yeah. I don't know of a single town. I know that Schuyler Falls was very slow to require this, but I don't know of a single town that doesn't require the developer to do the paving. It's just not something that towns pay for. Schuyler Falls, I think, took until sometime in the 1990s, I think, to go that route. It would be a big expense to the taxpayers, potentially. Right. A $30,000 road doesn't sound too awfully expensive, but that's probably a pretty short short piece of road. So,
Yeah, the first one was 80,000, I paid.
yeah, yeah.
Which
And
you
that-
want.
That's what I typically see in a.
But it's like
typical
both of us
subdivision.
investing in a community, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't start working with people, you're not gonna ever have anybody come in here and do this, you know? You know, you have to give and take both areas, you know?
No, the investment's very important to the town, and future investment's always important to the town. Again, we have to look at what we've already, when we're doing something like this, you know, what they've already turned away, and as other people probably have asked in the past, different, you know, ways of getting their roads paved. And, especially private roads have always been
A problem.
a problem.
Like in the city, Kenny Musso, the city of Plattsburgh, paved the development for him on the old airport. You know, and it's like a pilot program, the county does this all the time, you know?
The county does it.
You know, look at all industrial park buildings, they're all pilot programs, you know? And they don't pay tax and they, you know, it's just a deal to help the developer, you know?
Well, with the state, the new laws coming out with the taxes, that's something.
Right, and there were
That's
some.
that's the part I'm asking Mr. McCormick to take a look at, is
Yeah.
make sure that with the laws and everything that are out there now, because of changes and everything, so.
We want to do something with it.
This is definitely gonna
We
be,
can work with you.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, we appreciate everything you've done for the
Yeah.
town and all the work and all the building you have done. You know, and I've heard, you know, good things about your building, so that's great. But again, this is gonna be a little bit to work through.
And can I just add my
Yeah.
2 cents in? It doesn't matter.
No,
We
yeah.
have a few ways that has asked for this in the past and
Which
have
is
not.
denied.
You can't, because it's a way and you cannot work on private property if it's a way,
Right.
which
No,
Mr.
that's what I
McCormick did
mentioned.
say.
A couple of minutes ago.
Well, how about the idea of a pilot program for a town? I know the city does get involved in that. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of pilot programs, I've not
for a
been involved.
township?
I've not been involved in one for
I
a
see.
town, yeah.
Okay.
But let's give Mr. McCormick some time to look into maybe
Sure.
that for us and
Yeah.
us.
And you'd
to
have
do some
4,
research.
at least, ways that you're gonna have to do if you do his. Because we've already, Mike, you right? What is the one up on,
I know of 2 of already.
up on,
We've already.
Ormsby's, Joe Ormsby's place, that they've been after you to do it.
Timber Lane. And then Laura D.
Laura D., Susan Way,
Yeah.
There's been a,
yeah,
there's been a few. There's a few.
Woodland Drive.
Woodland Drive.
Yeah, I mean, it just, it
That's
compounds
a big
quick.
one.
I know it doesn't seem possible, but it would.
Yeah.
And it could eat up a couple of years' budgets of paving before we even touch the main roads,
Yeah.
so.
well, the second part is, that, you know, it's like I'm paying out the money and you wouldn't have to put any money, it's just not getting any taxes. It'd be
Right.
like in a way, if I didn't build, you won't get any taxes anyways.
No, I agree 100% there. And that's something that we can look at because that kinda, it's not made for
Right,
the builder.
Yeah.
It was more tailored to the first time home buyer.
right,
But that's a pilot program that we may be able to look at, and like you say, it's an end sum game, you know, win at the end, because as long as the house.
well, you would have to decide too, like a guy like me who's building and renting and doing this versus a guy who's putting up a house who can absorb this and put it into the cost of the home. It's a little different deal, you know? Like a guy building a house can add that into the cost of his home and into the lots, where
Yeah.
it's a different deal.
Well, as far as renting, you mean? As far
Yeah.
as apartments?
Yeah,
Well, you're still gonna add it into the cost of whatever your rent is to make sure that it's feasible within reason to rent them.
rents are up so high now, there's
Yeah.
nothing feasible.
Yeah. And then you're also gonna get a depreciation value for, you know, the build project, so.
You
Yeah.
can't depreciate land and stuff like that.
Not land equipment, but
Yeah.
expenses, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's something that we would really, like I say, it's gonna take some time to look at.
okay,
And, again, I appreciate everything you did in the town, so we'll take a look at it and
Okay.
get back with you as long as, I figured these 2 gentlemen would have your information.
yeah,
And then we can, let you know where, as we're working through the process, what we find
sure.
out.
And also, I talked to these couple different people about doing your senior citizens project on your land. And I have a set of plans that'll work with that, fourplexes. And my son is looking into the FEMA money. Right now, his neighbor does that.
Yeah, and that could be something as a agreement that we could maybe work out on a project as what comes back to the town and
Sure.
what we put up front, what you put up front.
Sure.
So that's another avenue we can look at.
Yeah.
Those
so-
private partnerships with municipalities are big today, so
Okay.
that's something that we would definitely have to get our lawyers involved with and
Yep.
see what we can do there. Maybe that's another avenue.
Sure.
Okay.
That's it for me.
All right, I just want
Thank
to
you.
make sure I didn't cut you off short, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I appreciate
Thank you for your
everything
time.
do for the
Thank
town.
you.
Okay, communications. Yeah,
We've
we'll go
done-
ahead.
Before we get into communications, we've done this before. We do have a lady that is waiting for us to go through our resolutions.
Yeah.
In regards, can we get those taken care of so she can be done and out?
She needs copies, so
oh,
I
she needs
can't give her
copy? Oh, okay.
copies right
Yeah.
now.
All right, we'll wait then.
I would have to be,
Yep.
I can't leave the meeting.
Okay,
I'll
so,
resend that then.
just a couple communications. Mr. Hager, Peter Hager came in the other day, after I had inquired when the town of Plattsburgh was doing a used tire drop-off for the town of Plattsburgh. It turns out that, that truck was pretty full, so he couldn't really accept everything that we had. So he just stopped in the other day, and he's got enough funding to do one more. He was thinking the third week of September or the first or second week of October. I'm thinking more the first or second week of October, so we can get advertised, get everything out. I think September is going to be really tight. So if you guys are okay with that, I'll sponsor it for the town of town of Scott Falls. We'll put the truck will come here, and we will need some help though on that day. So I'll need some of the. I know you did that in the past, Mike, where the guys come down. I don't mind coming down and helping. Anybody else that's available.
Yeah.
So if you guys are good with that, I'll let him know that we'll move on either the first or second week of October, whatever you can hook up. And that's a free tire drop off. I think there's a limit.
I don't think they take tractor tires, right?
I think there's a limit.
They're supposed to call and register.
They are gonna call,
you.
yep.
In order to
We
register.
need a location, to park the tractor trailer, box truck for loading, assistance with loading, like I just talked, maybe 3 to 5 people, community service workers, community volunteer staff, town staff, or residents. The district will pay for cost of trucking and recycling of the tires. Tires will be limited to personal car and pickup truck tires. Must be whole tires and relatively clean and dry. No tractor, loader, or very large truck tires. No rims. We limit the program to private residents only, no commercial entities, so such as tire shops or car dealerships. There would be a limit of 10 tires per person. Load and pre-registration may be required. Alright. They do like you to call in the number ahead so they can start telling people whether or not they can still bring tires. Collections would be scheduled on a Thursday afternoon, typically located at the town garage or the town highway or the town parking lot here. So. Okay. Registration, charter communications. Charter communications, Spectrum, Northeast LLC, just an update. They send me these all the time. On or around September 1st, 2022, TVG2 located on Spectrum Channel 327 will be rebanned to Fin Dual Racing. Got Charter. And then NICEC actually sent me a letter saying that they will be working on electric down on Ladue Street. We own quite a few of the lots left down there after the FEMA buyout and had everything converted to us. So they're just letting us know that they will be working on some of our lots, updating and upgrading some of the electrical. If you guys want a copy of that, you let me know. But basically, it's just a courtesy. Monthly reports. Can I get a motion to file the monthly reports?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Parati. Seconded by Mr. Newman. Roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. Receipts. Town clerk, $435. Macy Lane Water, $126.96. Morrisonville Water, $1,680.36. Woods Mills Water, $542.93. Justice Barber, $2,411. Justice Van Artwick, $885. Cash receipts, $131,271.08. That is the second quarterly host fees from Casella Waste System. $9.30 Orleans County Sheriff refund on codes paperwork filed. So that was a that was
probably the
that was a
serve-
property
serve.
for serve. Yep, you're
Serve
right.
process on some
For
property.
a property here on Shingle Street, and they live over there now. So that was a refund back. $260,921.30 state
$922.
Huh?
$922.30.
Okay, all right, stand corrected. $260,922.30. State of New York. And this is the ARPA funds, the second check that I told you guys would be coming in July. $45 from Division Management, and that's a Port Division. So if we can get a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Bruno.
Second.
Second, Mr. Facto. The roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. Okay, minutes of the planning board dated 7/6/22. Can you get a motion to file
Motion.
by Mr. Parati
Second.
and Mr. Newman? Roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. And minutes of the zoning board dated 7/18/22. Also motion to file.
Yes.
Mr. Facto,
Yes. Second.
Mr. Bruno. Roll call.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. Parati? Mr.
Yes.
Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Facto?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes. That brings us to department reports. Councilman?
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple things. I noticed the 260,000 which we received of funding. And I have one project possibly for this board to consider. And this has been something that's been ongoing for a couple of years now. And it has something to do with property known as Pine Tree Drive. And the reason I'm bringing it up is that the property is owned by the town. Definitely, the town of Schuyler Falls does have a deed to it. We do own it. And I've done a little research into it. I'd like to pass these out for you to look over. and
You're talking about
consider.
Laura D. Drive?
Pine
Pine
Tree Drive. Town attorney. Mike, I spoke to Mike a little bit about it. Kevin. There, those two.
We got one for Donna, or?
It's okay, I'll get one from Kevin.
Yeah.
No, actually, I do. But, I do. Here. Okay. Would it be okay, Mr. McCormick, if I read this into the record, into the minutes?
I think you can,
Or could I
Do it.
simply
I
ask
think you can
Donna
do it.
if she could put it in?
I think you can do either, yeah.
Would that be okay, Donna, just to insert it, or, I mean, I don't mind reading it.
I can insert it. You send it to me
Yeah,
by
this should have
word.
been added to the, really should have been added to the agenda.
Agenda?
When you bring something like this normally, I mean, you're not updating a project or updating something that you're working on, you're actually, I don't believe it's a real big issue.
Okay,
I
I'll read
don't
it
mind,
then. I'll read it.
entertaining it, that's for sure.
I mean, it's just, the point of bringing it up is there is liability on the town. We have families living there. They pay highway tax over there. And it's a town-owned piece of property.
What is the town-owned piece of property? Is it the
The
roadbed?
The roadbed, the roadway.
And the developer didn't follow through with paving it?
This is dating back for many years. This has been going on, but, I mean, we can't leave this forever the way it is.
It's been in court twice.
Well, it's kind of, you're right, Donna.
I will give you all the paperwork, Mike.
Is that the one that people came in 6 or 7 months ago on?
I
Hmm,
don't know whether.
No, I
it
don't
was-
think so.
It's quite a while ago that it was in front of a judge
This is your
twice.
road then, right?
Yes, it
It
is.
is your road.
Well,
So
it's
it
not
is-
my road, it's your road, but it's the one I live on.
You knew where I was going with that.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, yeah, and we
But it's been
We went-
ongoing, for sure.
we spent like 3 months on this.
Yeah.
You're right, maybe about a year ago.
And I
But-
believe our attorney said that we are kind of exempt from this.
Next door.
Yeah, next
Didn't
door.
you, Mr.
Kevin.
McCormick?
Yeah.
I have only a vague recollection of it, but it seems to me there were court proceedings that
There were.
said that it was
Yes.
not a town
That's
road.
back maybe over 20 years ago.
I'm not sure. I can look it
Yeah.
up and send you
Sure.
everything. I think I've sent it to you before, quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just did this like a year ago. Or thereabouts.
I brought it forward before
Why don't
because
you bring this to a work session
Okay.
again?
Okay.
That way
I will.
we're not,
I will.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
And we can take a look at it again. You're requesting that this time that we use ARPA money for that.
And Kevin, after reading over the ARPA rules,
No, I just want to be clear. That's what
yes,
we-
I would.
Right.
I would ask that.
So you wouldn't be
Would.
coming out of the highway budget.
No,
It would
no,
be
it wouldn't
coming
be
out of
at
the
all.
general fund money. from
Not at
ARPA.
all. But on the same token, would it be appropriate to ask Mr. Snyder just to take a look at the road? And I mean, just drive down it and just, it actually appears to be in quite good shape.
I believe Mr. Snyder did when I
Did he?
brought it forward a year ago, didn't you, Mr. Snyder?
No, you didn't? Yeah.
Well, at the time,
So-
if I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you know, it was
There was a lot of talk, but no, I'm not going on there.
Right. You said that it wasn't really advantageous to the town to pave that at the time, that was your,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna put words in your mouth.
No.
But, that
No,
was just
I still won't, not at this time. You know, it's,
and it takes both of us to do that. It takes the highway superintendent and us
yeah.
to approve roads in the town. And, I thought that's what your answer was the last time. I know John was the same kind of way when he did it. But rather than sit here and think about what we think it was or what we thought happened, let's bring this to a work session. I will pull that 3-inch folder again and we will go through it and go from there, okay?
Okay.
That make sense to you?
That makes sense, okay, it's fine.
That way we're not guessing, we know exactly what's
Right.
going on.
I just tried to do a little more research, that's all. And as long as if I'm talking about that, and there are several roads where people fall in a category right now. You've got that Woodland Hill Drive with about probably 10 residents up there who don't have any service at all up there. That's a place where I asked about a stop sign. And
But we can't legally put a stop sign
Right.
on
Yeah.
a private road.
yeah. But
We covered that one too.
Yeah, right, we did, but you know, the town
It doesn't
seems
hurt
to be.
revisit them. I'll
Yes,
agree.
Kevin, I appreciate that, Kevin.
Yep.
But, you know, when the town turns around and issues certificates of occupancy, I can see a little bit of liability on our part there. And here we've got this ARPA funding. What a great place to spend it, to help these people out. Maybe a once in many year opportunity to do it, to put it behind us then. It's over with.
Yeah, the only thing that I would wanna make sure that if we go down that route, that we don't leave any of the projects out, that we go back.
Absolutely.
And we look at
Agreed.
everything. And if this board is willing to dump, you know, a couple $100,000 on upgrades of roads, and we can get Mr. Snyder on board with that, because it takes both this board and his, then that's something we can look at, but that's why it should be done at a work session, so we can pull all the resources that we need to look at to make that, see if it's feasible or possible, probable. That makes sense to you?
Makes sense, makes sense.
Okay?
I did mention the one-day training. Did you put me down for that?
I have the sheets in here.
Oh,
to
do you?
do that.
Okay.
Well, we called on this today,
Oh,
and it's in October, the one that you want to go
yes,
to.
sure.
So that's why I mentioned them this month, and we'll do a resolution next month in September on who wants to go to what association's training, and we'll pass a
Oh,
resolution
okay.
to do all that, if that's good with you.
Yeah, of course, it's fine.
Oh, yeah. And I got your training down. I knew you wanted to go to that. I remember the work session this time. That one's at Lake Placid, if I remember.
And just two more minor things.
Yep.
This one, and Mr. Dona is sitting right there, I'll say it right to you.
Sure.
Is that I had communication because I had placed, at your request, Kevin, I had placed the agenda of the meeting up on a website. And you had asked me to do it, and I did do it because we've been having so much trouble with our town website. Kevin asked me if I'd mind putting it up, so all I did was he sent it to me. I just photoed it over to the website. Well, Mr. Dona, apparently, here I am. I did something that you asked me to do. Because it was an official website, we don't know if I should have done that.
No, that's fine. What I did,
So,
it did go on the official website. And I do got the confirmation that it went on there. But at the time, we had been having so much
yeah,
problems with the website and making sure that it got up, that I did say, if you want to post this agenda to that website, it's not going to bother me at all. And I said, if you want to do that, matter of fact, Mr. Doan and I spoke after the last meeting, and he asked me, or he told me then, if anything I needed or wanted to get posted and get the word out, that he was willing to do that on his website.
But this is a private site, and I don't think it meets the requirements for having to post it 24 hours in advance because it's a private site.
Right, so it was posted on our website.
I don't know.
Okay.
Duly noted.
It sounds minor, I'm not that worried about it,
No,
but you
no, I
asked
do.
me to mention it, so. I
Yep.
did.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. We will, we'll not do that again if you got an issue with that. Post that. I just did it because you said that you would be willing to advertise
As
that.
far
on
as
there.
it goes for your stuff in the park and stuff like that, anything that's not required by law, I don't mind.
Mhm.
But this does not meet the requirement of the 24-hour notice because it's
No,
on a private site and it's very limited as to who gets access to it.
Right, I think isn't your site open now, or do you have to,
No,
go on it and be a part of it?
Yes, yes you do.
Okay, no problem. It was on our website and in time.
I rarely go over there.
Yeah, but it is. All right. So, any more from any other councilman? All right, Highway, Mikey, what do you got? Anything?
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to winter, so. I got the salt ordered for the winter salt and sand. We're still out there, some good weather, we're still out there mowing the roadsides wider and wider, and we're cleaning up around guardrail rails and cutting brush and just keep right at it.
Okay. Did you have anything else?
No? Not
Okay.
really. I mean,
So, I got a few things that we gotta do, we'll talk about them later, Mike.
Yeah.
but-
Oh, I'm sorry, I received a text when I got here from a resident and brought up, he wants to know the situation with the playground equipment.
I got that too.
Okay, good, sorry, thank you.
All right, no problem. All right. Water, anything, Don?
you tell me.
Okay. I'll let you, like I said, if you got anything that, we haven't had, I think we had one break there not too long ago, but other than that, that was it.
I haven't heard.
And they
wasn't aware of
replaced,
a break.
one street shut off that was snapped, down by your house.
Well, then they fixed the hydrant.
Yeah, and they fixed the
It was
hydrant.
leaking.
Yeah.
I've got something on water, being liaison with the water. We have signed up an agreement with Rural Water Preservation of New York for each water district. I think, what is it, 800 a year? Maybe
Well,
less.
it depends on the size.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that it? Is
yeah,
that it?
They're all a little
And-
different in number.
I had mentioned before on the River Street situation, I know we did some excavation and the person had hooked up within the last couple of months. And at that particular spot, the water line appeared to be okay at that spot, and it was down to the proper depth. Well, rural water will go on River Street if we want them to, and actually take their technical equipment at no cost to us and basically draw up a map of the depth of that main at different intervals. Now, seeing that we've already invested with them, wouldn't it be a good thing to do that? To let them do that, and then we'd have information for whenever something would happen with our improvements in the future.
That section that was worked on was the newest section down there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That was installed when they did Ladue Street, and they did Ladue, is it Heights? River Street Heights.
yeah, oh yes,
River Street
yes.
Heights.
Yeah.
So that's the newer part of that line. It wasn't where it was supposed to be. It was underneath the road,
Right.
inside the curb stop. It wouldn't be bad to map it. Like I said, I can reach out to Rural Water and
Sure.
have him come up, and I know that was our original intention when we did it, because I had talked to Greg Timmons out of Peru, who said they're a wicked resource and they're very good at what
Sure,
they do, so.
sure.
Yeah, I can look into that.
Do you want me to email you the information, Kevin, or the guys?
If you wanna email the guy you've been speaking with,
Right.
so that he's for mayor, or at least he's got a heads up, because he's already talked to you, and I think you said that he had looked at putting a pump in at one time with
He
a line
did.
for
Yeah,
circulation.
he did come up and spent, you were out of town
Right.
that day.
No, and I.
And he did spend
did
4 or
that.
5 hours over there on River Street.
Yeah.
And then he went down to Macy Lane and actually looked around down there a little bit. So it could be a good resource
Yeah.
to maybe save the people something in that water district.
If you wanna shoot me his information and.
Sure.
Okay. It's not, I won't, if I don't write this down, I won't remember what the hell, I got 15 projects on it. Names. Alright, Macy Lane. Macy Lane, I just talked to LaBerge probably middle of last week, and they finally got somebody freed up for surveying. So as soon as they get the surveying all done, then that project's gonna start moving as fast as the Rixon Ave. The Rixon Ave, everything's down at Ryan Davies' office down at the Clinton County Health Department. There were 3 or 4 little things that Mr. Davies wanted addressed, and they're working out those right now between the engineering and what he wanted. I think that project is gonna move pretty quick, to tell you the truth. I don't wanna throw out a month, but it's going pretty quick. Once the engineering, once the surveying is done over at Macy Lane, that one's gonna move probably just as fast. The biggest thing is everybody was tied up already with all the big projects and they couldn't hire anybody to survey it. But that's being done right now. So as soon as that's done, I'll get a mapping. Remember the maps I showed you guys at the work session? I'll get a set of maps like that from Macy Lane, and then we'll almost be ready to start. We'll have to go through Ryan Davies' office again down at Clinton County Health Department to make sure he doesn't want anything changed, so they have to go through review. That's what Rixon Ave is. Basically, once Mr. Davies is done down there, that project's gonna be ready to bid. Or ready to, if Mr. Trombley does it, have him do it, so. That stuff has to be, that'll be another set of paperwork, but that should go fast. Because those residents up there, we have to be informed of what we plan on do, what we intend to do, what they're gonna be responsible for, the monetary part of what they're gonna have to be responsible for. And, I had about a hour and 20-minute conversation with one of them up there, and they want it done as soon as they can, so.
Can I just throw this out on Rixon Avenue? Seeing that we're going down Rixon Avenue and we're crossing over on private property, and then we're crossing back over on another parcel of private property, is it permissible from ARPA, from that Relief Act money, should we have to get an okay to use those funds? That's what I mean. Because we're gonna be entailing putting a line in
Right. And
on private property.
I'll get all that
Kevin.
for you. I talked to Mr. McCormick months ago about this and what we need to do to set up that agreement. The line, the main line coming off the road or to push under the road
Yeah.
was moved to Rixon Ave.
Yes, yes, I
Because you
understand.
were having didn't like the fact that the main push across the road was coming into Trombley's property. It didn't really matter, it doesn't really change the pressures, so I talked to Ron and he goes, yep, we can switch that. The 2 laterals are gonna be the 2 laterals no matter what. And your connectors on each end are still gonna be connectors so that it's a loop system. So, the only difference will be is Mike, when we do that up there, we'll probably trench cut that road. And, much like they did River Street, do one half and then do the other half. Cause it's gonna be a lot more expensive to push underneath that road. And being that it's our town road, we might as well just open it up, lay the pipe in, and then bury it back up. And then just, cause I had to stop up by, I asked you, excuse me, to stop up by Bravo anyway. So that section is going to be all repaved at one time, one way or the other. Whether this other, the other Marshall project goes through for the water or not. But that's gonna save a ton of money, trench cutting that and doing it that way rather than pushing it across. So there's a ton of paperwork I'll get to you, but it's not quite there yet. All right, but it's moving fast, and there's multiple wheels in motion. So once I get everything nailed down, I'll get it to you.
As water clerk, when is the letter is gonna go out to the Rixon Avenue people to see if they're willing to do what we were supposed to, their costs?
Right.
So that this way we know whether we're moving forward with that project.
Right. So they came up with the three documents that they will be sent, okay? And then they went to the attorney, which had a few little language changes in there. And then they went back to LaBerge so that they could make the changes, and then I'm supposed to get them back here to town. Those will have to be sent out, and again, this board will have to decide whether or not that's still the way we want to continue with the project. So as soon as I get the rewrites back from the markups, I will get them to everybody here. It's just that hasn't happened yet. I mean, the preliminaries are all done.
Well, you made me nervous when you said 1 month that it was gonna start the project. That's
No,
why
I said I
didn't know
can't,
whether
I won't
we-
name a month, but I said
Okay.
it's coming fast.
Yeah.
I'd be hesitant to say what month it would start, but I kind of alluded to Scott's mom that it'd probably be first thing in the spring or thereabouts. So it's coming quick for a project that size. But I got things I got to nail down. Anything else on the water? Safety and codes? Town clerk?
No.
Assessor, next work session, we'll go over, looking at, I'll speak for him, maybe doing an increase to the monetary amount of, the exemption for 65 or older, persons and persons with, disability. I need some specific information from, Mr. Drollet. He's gonna get that for us. I'll bring it back to the next work session, and I believe by September, we should be able to start working on, that's gonna be by local law, right? Yeah, local law to do that, and then we'll pass it in October. If the board likes. Planning board, I got nothing. Dog control, I got nothing. Attorney?
Nothing right now.
Okay. I will speak for Cliff on that dog. He called me on the dog he had for about 4 or 5 hours. They finally got somebody to take care of that dog, and that's out of his hands finally now. But he's said he's been pretty busy with the dog stuff. Nothing at all. All right, supervisor, I'll try to keep mine really quick before I do mine. Historian?
Just real quick, you might have seen some publicity, but Town of Schuyler Falls was the second group in Clinton County. Clinton County itself, Highway Department got a grant from Preserve New York that we had talked about back in April. It's strictly for the hamlet of Schuyler Falls to look at consideration as to whether some of that can be called a National Register Historic District, which then would afford some tax benefits and potential for grants to people in that district in the historic houses. So it's all, we've got money to do that. It'll take until next year to do all the research and keep information up with the homeowners there. and, all that. So, but we got it. Again, this is building on the historic inventory, cultural resource survey that we got a grant for the whole town back in 2019. So, we're ready. A little something. Just big in the county is it's Battle of Plattsburgh weekend coming up, the weekend after Labor Day. So there'll be things that are going on all around the county, starting on Thursday night through Sunday, the 8th through the 11th. I have, if everybody has a nice magnifying glass, a one-page list of the schedule here. There's some copies. You're welcome to take a copy of that.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, I got a few bulletins, okay. In regard to your other question, the parts have now come in, even though we just got an email like a month and a half ago saying that was gonna be till October or November. He just, emailed me about maybe the middle of last week. And he goes, the parts are now in for the playground equipment. He wanted to know if we wanted all that dropped on site or if we had a place to do that or even drop it on site. I was like, nah, I'd rather not do that because it's all in boxes, it's all brand new, and I asked if he would keep that in his warehouse. So he is going to have, because the tractor trailer was coming at 1 o'clock that day when he called, believe it or not. He goes, where do you want this stuff dropped? I'm like, not here. So anyways, he's gonna put it in his warehouse. I asked that PM Leary coordinate with Mr. Campbell so that Sam and him can figure out what park they're gonna be working on that day and what days are best to do that. So he's gonna be coordinating with him. So that stuff has arrived. As soon as he can get open spot on his calendar now, because he wasn't planning on the stuff being in until like October, November, and they couldn't even guarantee that when it was because they didn't really have a ship date. Now he's got to try to schedule it. So as soon as I find out, Mr. Facto, when he's scheduling, I'll let you guys know. Okay. But yeah, it's like magic. The last Music in the Park night with Neil Gillespie was a big success. We just about sold out of all the food. We made a little over $200 profit that was taken in from the sale of food. Of course, all the profits will be put back into the Music in the Park fund. So it almost paid for him that night. Our next one is coming up. Reminder, this Saturday, the 27th. We'll be hosting a band town meeting. They will be playing folk.
Oh, I've got flyers here.
Oh, okay. She's got flyers if anybody wants any in the back. Folk music, Americano, and acoustic rock. So that will be again Saturday the 27th. This Saturday. We are still moving forward with the splash pad. What a debacle. As final documents are now being completed for DASNY to release the $125,000 of funds. Also, ADA is now working with Denzek Design for the final plan of the splash